Good morning, friends. It is Link, the Gulf Coast Gardener, coming to you almost live from Jamaica Beach, Texas, on the west end of sunny Galveston Island. Today is Wednesday, May the 3rd, and we are coming to you from the Thyme patch in the garden. It's been a few weeks since we've updated the progress of our garden, and with the sun and the rain and the really nice weather, things are absolutely booming. So let's go check in and see what has changed since we last spoke. Now, be sure to like this video if you're getting any value out of it. And if you haven't already done so, I sure would appreciate it if you would subscribe. So with that, let's get started. So starting at this end of the garden, you can see I have a couple of volunteer plants that are growing right in the yard. I had a compost pile here last year, and so I'm really happy to have these zinnias that have grown from seed that overwintered. So really happy about that. And then I have a nice patch of dill over here as well. I actually didn't even bother starting dill from seed this year. I had so much popping up in random places in the garden that I've got plenty for my needs. Now, if you watch my videos, you know I'm a big fan of cilantro, and I grow a ton of cilantro. So I like to fill an entire birdie's bed with cilantro, and I've been cutting on this for weeks. It's getting a little stemmy, a little woody. It's probably getting close to the end of its life, so we'll cut a bunch more, and then we'll plant something else in this garden in the next few weeks. Now, are you kidding me? Do you remember that borage that I started from seed? It is gone insane. It is huge. The honeybees absolutely love it. The carpenter bees love it. They can barely even fight over it because there's so many flowers, they don't know what to do. So I am so happy with this. I mean, this is a $4, $5 packet of seed, and I have a huge stand of the most beautiful, crazy-looking flowers you've ever seen. So pick up some borage and give it a try. The pollinators absolutely love it, and it's just beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful plant. Now, next to the cilantro, I've got probably two of the most beautiful tomato plants I've ever grown. These are dwarf tomatoes. And if you haven't heard about dwarf tomatoes, Google the Dwarf Tomato Project. They're basically crosses between the classic indeterminate and determinate, so you get the best of both worlds. You get this thick, bushy plant, and then just check it out, the greenery and the stems in there. They're absolutely huge. And this is a Rosella purple, so it is supposed to be one of the best tasting dwarfs you can grow. Really excited about that. The plants are super healthy, super green. I'll probably cage them with medium-sized cages next year, but you can see they're really not getting all that tall. This is probably about as tall as they're gonna get, so super excited about growing dwarf tomatoes. Next to the tomatoes, I've got 5 Datil Peppers. It's spelled D-A-T-I-L. It's an orange hot pepper, 100 to 300,000 Scoville units, so very, very hot in the habanero heat range. I'm growing these for a local restaurant, but I'm also growing a ton for us. I just love peppers, and I'm developing more and more of a taste for hot peppers, so really excited to see how those turn out. And on this side, I've got a few more Datil Peppers. I've got 4 in between the borage and these additional plants. Now, more tomatoes, of course. My tomatoes are doing so good this year. I mean, I expect I'll be getting disease over the course of the summer, but so far, knock on wood, I've been really lucky. These are Patio choice cherry tomatoes, as well as a Galahad tomato, which is a beautiful red slicer. Couldn't be happier with the progress of my tomatoes this year. And check out the kale. The last video, these things were maybe 4 or 5 inches tall. This dinosaur kale, or lacinato kale, is absolutely gorgeous. It's wonderful to grow in the garden just as an ornamental, but it makes a ton of kale if you like to cook kale. I like to make pots of beans and soups and use kale that way. I'm not a big fan of just steamed kale, but I like to add it to other things. Got a nice little patch of chives over here. Once you get your chives going, you'll have them forever. You can divide them and move them around, share them with friends. I've got a single parsley plant here that survived. I started some from seed, didn't have great luck, but I have one nice healthy plant, so that's plenty of parsley. And then I've got my oregano over here. This is a Greek oregano. Actually, this is called Oregano Supreme, which I picked up at a nursery. It's supposed to be the culinary version of oregano, so really happy that I've got one of those left over. And there you can see my coffee spot. That's where I like to have my coffee in the morning, in my thyme patch. And it is just wonderful. I love just, you know, you wave your hand through the thyme, give it a good smell. You can use it in cooking. The pollinators love the flowers. You can make thyme water, which is absolutely delicious. Thyme and lemon water in the summer is one of the most refreshing things you can make, and it's very unusual. Give it a try. I think you'll like it. And over here we have more peppers. These are the Datil Peppers again. I got these in a lot earlier, obviously. And I was doing an experiment where I topped several of them And I didn't a few of the other ones where I cut off that top node just to see how they would grow differently. And the ones on the edge, these are the ones that I topped. Honestly, they all look pretty similar. I don't know that it's going to make that much difference. It does look like the ones that I topped, clipped that top node, are a little bushier. So maybe I'll continue to do so. I'm not sure it's going to make all that much difference at the end of the day. Down here, I've got some sweet alyssum. Look how pretty this is. It smells like honey. It's a great companion plant for your vegetables. It draws pollinators. It draws beneficial wasps, which will then feed on the worms that get on your tomatoes. So it makes a really nice synergy. And plus, it's just amazing. You can pick these alyssum plants up from the nursery for a couple bucks a piece in the spring in a 4-inch pot. And look how big they get. That was a 4-inch pot, and now it's well over a gallon size plant. So buy your plants small, and then they should grow for you really well. Now, I've got them planted with a couple of these tomatoes. This is called Esterina. This was my absolute favorite tomato last year. It is a yellow cherry tomato that just creates thousands of tomatoes. Well, maybe not thousands, but a lot of tomatoes. Now, it does get big. This cage is not big enough for it. I'll probably top the main stem once I get plenty of fruit on there, just to kind of force it to ripen up the fruit and not make as many more branches. But look how pretty these plants are. They were very disease resistant. They're loaded with flowers. Esterina, yellow cherry tomato. You can find the seed in several places. Give it a try. It was just a wonderful tomato last year, my absolute favorite. And here's a couple of more of the dwarf tomatoes. Now, these are summer sweet gold. These are large yellow slicers. And boy, do they look good as well too. I do have some sort of pest damage going on down here. Something's eating some holes in these guys. Spider mites is one of my challenges here in Jamaica Beach, along with the wind. So I'm a little concerned, but you know what? Got plenty of flowers. The plants are just so vigorous. And again, look how thick these stems are. They're just amazing. They're like little tomato trees, and you really don't have to stake them up that much. I've got one nice thick wooden stake. I actually got a couple of stakes in there. I like to figure out the best way to stand these guys up, but they don't need a ton of support. And up front, I've got a few jalapenos that are flowering. I've got some jalapeno peppers already. Oh, there they are. I forgot all about it. I haven't checked these in a while. We've got jalapenos. Excellent, excellent. Really happy about that. And then over on this side, I've got my little bit of my plant nursery going on. I've got some more of those dinosaur kales. I've got dill. I've got some citronella plants. I've got some gallon basils. I've got smooth blue asters and mist flower. If you've watched my videos, you know I'm a big fan of mist flower, as well as the smooth blue asters. I've got some of these beautiful Petra purple basil that's really easy to grow from seed, and some thyme also grew that from seed. Grew pretty much 95% of everything you see out here from seed, if not even more. I've got some melons back there and the lime zinnias, which were absolutely beautiful. I've got more mist flower, and I've got more of those Patio choice tomatoes. Check it out. These things are just ripening by the hour practically. I'll pick these ripe ones off, and then I'll come back later in the afternoon and pick them. I've got both the red and the yellow tomatoes. So really excited about these tomatoes. They're absolutely delicious. Mexican petunias back here I got from a neighbor, and they're really aggressive. So once you get them established, keep an eye on them. I dug these up because they were just getting too big in the part of the garden. I love them. Love those flowers and how much they grow, and they survive the freezes, but just be aware, keep them in check. I've got some peppermint down here. Now, basically the other day I was thinning out. I just took a few clippings off the peppermint plant that was in a container, and here I ended up with 15 or 16 more plants. So once you get your mint established, it's super easy to propagate. You just snip it and then stick it in some dirt, and it'll start growing. So really happy with that. I've got some nice Dianthus here. Really happy with these Dianthus. I'll throw a picture up here. It's called Sweet Black Cherry Dianthus. Get it from Johnny's Select Seeds. Wonderful. And these are my Mexican oleanders. If you watch the videos, you know I'm a big fan of Mexican oleander. They start really easily from seed. These were started in February the 7th, if I'm not mistaken, so they'll be almost 3 months old. But that is a lot of free oleanders that you get from seed. And I just start them in 4-inch pots. That's what all 4 of those flats are. They're just the seed stuck down a few inches in the dirt with the slit of the seed facing up. And I'll get 60, 70% germination rate, and I'll have another 50 or 60 of those Mexican oleander plants. So Really enjoy growing those guys. Now let's wander on down this way. We got a lot of stuff going on in the new raised bed as well. Now, this is not the raised bed, obviously. I've got some more dill. That guy probably needs to come up or trim back. These are all volunteer dill plants. I really didn't start anything from seed this year. I had a whole row of dill here last year, and now they're all just popping up. Now, this is Victoria Blue Salvia. Again, one of my favorite perennials. This is the hummingbird's favorite plant. They basically ignore the hummingbird feeder and the sugar water in favor of this. And every evening about 5 o'clock, we come downstairs and the hummingbirds are out here. I've got some milkweed through here. I had one of my hibiscus survive the freeze. So at least I have one hibiscus coming back. More of these Victoria Blue Salvia. It's also known as mealy cup sage. It's a native plant to Texas. And so grow native plants to feed your native bugs and critters and birds. They really will appreciate it. More dill down here as well. Now, I'm a big fan of mist flower. Check it out. It just flowers constantly here. It'll burn up eventually at the end of the summer and turn into a big pile of brown sticks, but by and large, it is like this for the majority of the season. It comes back from freezes every year. It's good to zone 7, so my zone 9B freezes are no problem. This is a favorite of the butterflies, I find. So once we have butterflies, they are just all over these plants. Of course, the bees love them too. And you can see it is very prolific in making seed. So these flowers are going to make seed, and these are going to start popping up all over the place. So be aware. Some people might consider it invasive. I like the way it spreads, and I just dig up the plants. This was full of mist flower all around the edges, and so I just dig them up and pot them up each year. It is no big deal. Now check out. Here's another one of those Mexican petunias. I had those two clumps were side by side over here, but I figured one big clump was enough. I really like these purple flowers. They're just beautiful. So Mexican petunias are really nice. They flower all the time. They come back from the freezes. They're aggressive. Just be aware and keep your eye on your plants, and you can keep them under control. These are some black-eyed Susans that came back from the freeze. It's my understanding now that they're not a big fan of full sun, so they get a little bit burned up over here on the west end. I should probably move these to the east side of the house, but the plants are just so pretty. I'll just let them go for a little while longer now. This is lavender hyssop that I grew from seed. Look it up at Seed Savers Exchange. That's where I got my seed. I'll put a picture up as well. It makes these beautiful purple, wispy, spiky flowers. And this might be the bee's favorite plant. As a matter of fact, I got stung by a bee when I bought my first plant years ago. Now I just grow them from seed. They're super easy to grow from seed. And the plants are just beautiful. They're in the mint family, which you can kind of see. So the plants themselves are gorgeous. But in future videos, you'll see the flowers, and they will just knock your socks off. Now, these are some purple verbena plants. What's it called? Midway, I'm guessing. I think that's wrong. I forget. But these are verbena plants just to do some ground cover through here. And then I've got 3 of those Mexican oleanders that I mentioned before. These will be beautiful. One of my favorite plants to grow. It freezes back. As you can see, this was a giant bush I had this year. Now it's coming back from the freeze at the base, but it's coming back really slow. So I wanted to get a head start and get a few more in here so I can continue to make more seed. Now down on the end, this is Copper Canyon Daisy. Fantastic perennial flowering plant. This should be hardy down to zone 7 as well. I had 3 of these here, and 2 of them didn't come back from the freeze. So you just never know why, but honestly, 3 of them was probably too much for the space. I actually worked out really well. I like having this one Copper Canyon Daisy next to our chairs over here where we sit in the evening or in the morning. It has the most wonderful aroma. So check out Copper Canyon Daisy. I'm going to see if I can't propagate some of these from stems. It's not something I'm very good at, but I need to learn how to do that. But anyway, Copper Canyon Daisy, fantastic flowering perennial. And I've got another giant patch of my Victoria Blue Salvia. So it's really fun to sit here in the evening and watch the hummingbirds and the bees. They're constantly over here. The big carpenter bees, eastern carpenter bees, they just go nuts over this plant. So they're always over here. And then I put some lemongrass behind them. When that gets tall, this is going to be stunning. And there's a really cool looking plant. This is a giant leopard plant, and doing really well on a Peggy Martin rose, climbing up the stairway. Really looking forward to those Peggy Martin roses. Again though, Victoria Blue Salvia, you gotta grow this plant. Super easy to grow from seed if you can't find it at the nursery. Now, this is my zinnia patch, or part of it. I just thinned these out yesterday. I planted a whole bunch of seed out here, And I wish I would have done a before and after, but I didn't think to do that. But anyway, I came through last evening and started thinning them out. And I just moved them into the empty spaces. So they were super easy to plant. I just mass seeded them. And when they didn't come up in the spots that I wanted, I just spread them out. And you cannot even tell which ones I transplanted. Last night, even a few more this morning. They are perfect. They just take really easy to transplanting. This is going to be gorgeous. We grew zinnias in a previous life in Missouri for a cut flower business, a part of a business. And I'm super excited about having the Benary's giant zinnia, which is my absolute favorite cut flower. And this is something that's really fun. These are a couple of Charantais melon plants. These popped up. These are volunteers. I had melons here last year that didn't really do very well, but apparently I had some viable seed left over because I got these two beautiful plants. I might not need any more melon plants. If these do well, which they are, I should get plenty of melons out of that. This is going to be more zinnias. This is a little sprinkler system that I picked up online. I'm not much of a handyman, so I need easy stuff. So it's basically a hose with sprinkler heads attached, which you can turn and direct them. You can do 360, you can do 180 degrees. Makes it really easy to water your plants. More peppers. These are Ausilio peppers, a beautiful red Italian thin-skinned frying pepper. It's hot, it's sweet, it is amazing. It's the most amazing pepper I've ever eaten. You eat them raw, straight in the garden. You put it in sauces. You can can them. They're just amazing. Very happy about having more Ausilio peppers. And I've got some more of the Petra purple basil. You can't see it too well against the dirt background, but such a pretty plant. I really like growing different kinds of basil. I'm gonna plant Thai basil. I'm gonna plant some more lime basil. I'm gonna grow all kinds of basil. And I mentioned those Dianthus plants before. Look, I got a nice stand of these Dianthus, the sweet black cherry Dianthus. Absolutely gorgeous flower. These things do great here. And you can see they just start spreading out and putting on lots of different flower stems. So don't be shy about cutting these back. I could even cut back this flower and force it to branch out more. But gosh, great. Really like growing Dianthus. That's going to be a sea of deep red flowers before the summer's over. Now here's a little experiment I'm doing. These are grow bags, basically 5-gallon grow bags, and I'm growing Datil Peppers in these. And as you can see, I think I planted these about the same time as the others from the garden. They're not nearly as big, but they're doing quite well. They're loaded up with flowers, and so we're going to start having more Datil Peppers on these bags in no time. You just have to keep them watered because they dry out faster in the bags, and give them a little extra, natural fertilizer because the constant watering will drain the nutrients. This is another volunteer plant. This is another Benary's giant zinnia. You can see how big they get. They're awesome. Just love this flower. So can't wait till this whole bed is full. And then here we have a sea of tomatoes. I've got just a mixture of the red and yellow Patio choice. And they sure do seem to like this spot. I mean, these are some of the healthiest tomatoes I've ever grown. They're covered in flowers. They're just doing so well. So very excited about the tomatoes, as well as everything else that's going on in the garden. We seem to be doing pretty well this season now. This is a banana plant. We've never grown bananas here before. It's a red banana that we popped in the ground a week ago or so. So I need to figure out how to grow bananas. I don't want to just grow plants. I want actual bananas. So excited about how that's going to work out. So. Well, there's a note from the garden. Gosh, thanks guys for watching the videos. I sure do appreciate it when you stop by. Again, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, share it with your gardening friends, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching. Have a fantastic day.